Cash again.
It looks good here, so let me just make the announcement. Welcome everyone to the 42nd Health Teaching Workshop of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. It is Tuesday, October 6th, 2015, and once again we're here with Mr. Keshe of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute, and I think he's ready to go and has been for quite a while here, so let's patch into Mr. Keshe at SSI.
Good morning, good day, good afternoon to you, as usual, whenever and what time ever you listen to these workshops. Today, as usual, on Tuesday afternoon, we try to do the health and see what it is and what we can add to the knowledge of the health. Are there any questions? Because we get a lot of questions regarding the health, and some of it is good to be able to be shared. Are there any plasmatic questions in health? Or is it too early to ask a question? No questions?
I think we're in the background here just messing with the audio to make it sound better. Thanks, Rick, for increasing that.
Okay. At least it gives you time not to do anything. We try to see, does your microphone, there's a question here.
Yeah, hello. When the plasma
Hold it back there.
when the plasma becomes out of balance in a state of disease, how do we know when it's back in balance?
You don't need to, because you feel it. Most of the time, any unbalance, we feel. And with the new technology, which we will deliver in the coming time, you'll find out, you will walk into the situation where the body in the environment which it is will balance itself out from any imbalances. Now we're going into the plasma technology. You will see totally different approach than what we have at this moment, where you don't consume tablets, you don't consume energy, you don't get injected. But what happens, very much like we've seen with the pen, the environment compared to total balance will consider itself. And for example, if you have a stomach cancer, the field balance will consider totality of the structure, and what is unbalanced with it will bring you to balance. It's very simple. We'll show more and more of it in the coming time. You can target it, and maybe even today we might have some results coming up this week regarding this test that we can target, and you don't do anything with it. You allow the fields of the body, because there's a big difference with the new way of health and the old way of the health, or the traditional medicine. With the tradition, you introduce, even with the Chinese we were talking before, you enforce conditions. You inject, you take tablets, you take herbal medicine, whatever you call it. With the plasma, this does not work this way anymore. There's a lot of clicks and clacks. With the plasma, as I explained before, you have the emotional, and then you have the physical body. You now want to change the position of the cancer, as I explained before. You can't go in and physically introduce a plasmatic system and hope that this system will change the condition of the cancer. Because now you're dealing with the cancer, with the plasma, the emotional reason for this has to be remedied. the system itself will find. If the emotional part of the brain agrees with what you want to do physically, it has to bring the balance both in physical part of the brain and emotional part of the brain in respect to the disease or to the change. You call it disease. It is not the way like what we do now. We inject a chemotherapy or we remove it or whatever. In a space, you have no surgeons to go in to change. You have to understand the reason, psychological reason for the change in the structure. And you'll find out, as we see a lot, I've seen this repeated again and again past years. The family want the mother or the father to be saved of a cancer, and they do everything. But when you speak to the person, says, I want to go. The emotion of the part of the brain overrides, because it doesn't override, it's a decision maker of the disease. 80% of what we see, 90% of the cancers come through emotion. So when you introduce a plasma technology in process, you have to consider, has the emotion been satisfied? Or do we give to the emotion enough that finds a new balance? It might be a father problem with the son or a mother with the daughter. In giving a plasmatic condition of the change for physicality, considering that emotion has to be counted, would the energy received by the emotion satisfies, justifies the life to decide that I look at it a different way? Maybe it was my point of view wrong about my son or my daughter. Then the brain, the emotion makes the decision to change the physicality. And this is the way it has to be done. That's why nowadays we have a, say, they have a secondary cancer, they remove the cancer, it's reappeared again. You remove the cancer, but you don't change the reason for the cancer. With the plasma technology, you try to, and most of the time, you achieve. Because if you cannot remedy the situation, be assured the person will die. Because it's the wish she cannot see, or you cannot see a solution. You transfer both energy in the gravitational magnetic field to the cell, maybe to change its balance, but that balance has to be accepted by where it actually initiated. This is the problem. This is what the modern medicine does not understand. And the Chinese medicine has got more or less part of it right and part of it wrong in the way that they use the herbal medicine and whatever they have, but they forget the other half. That it has to be brought in with the energy system which is acceptable to the thing. You can do whatever you like, literally. You can do whatever comes to. If you do not satisfy the emotion, you'll find it'll come up somewhere else. You have a problem in the right leg, because you haven't satisfied it, you do the operation, whatever, it comes in the left leg. Same position. I explained this, and I've seen it many times with these kind of situations. I explained this in case of a lady who was raped from age of 7, 8, and at the end she ended up with 20 other operations just on one leg. And the doctors couldn't understand why. I explained to her, and she stopped. She changed. Because she saw her leg as a failure for her abuse. Till you don't reach a balanced conclusion, doesn't matter whatever it is, which is acceptable to the emotion, the physical part of the brain will find a different way to show the problem in physicality. And this is the beauty of the new plasma technology. You don't cure the physicality. We are not in the process of curing. We are in the process of processing the problem. When you process a problem, it means you find a solution for it. When you cure it, you hammer it in, doesn't matter what. You find it'll come somewhere else. When you process in all of our talks and agreements, it's always processing. Because to find a solution for this, you have to process the problem here. There are accidental damages that we cannot change. There are non-malignant cancers, which is one lump which is cancerous. And what it means is not a cancer. It's slightly different than the rest of his environment. You find a big lump in the stomach, you remove it, and it doesn't go anywhere. And again, depends on how you remove it. Then that cancer could have been caused by a puncture, by whatever. We had a case in Belgium. No, we had another case. An accountant, he swallowed a toothpick. Toothpick is the wooden pieces what do you call it? I think they get rid of this because otherwise we'll have a lot of flies here. Toothpick is what you use to clean your teeth, between your teeth. And in a dinner, by mistake, he swallowed it. And the pin or the wood went and embedded in the stomach. By the time they got to it, they had to remove it. The part of the injury of the removal caused a cancer. Then he died of it. He literally died from swallowing a toothpick. It took 2 years. These are changes which come with accidental cases. Because when you open a stomach, when you open an operation, you change the environment. And the reason it becomes a cancer in these conditions is because it's against the will of the emotion to have such an interaction or intrusion in the body. The body wants to remove it. We see it with a lot with what they call stomach reduction. The stomach reduction, these flies flying everywhere. The stomach reduction is when people lose a lot of weight. First of all, they go and they put a, what do you call it, like an elastic on the stomach, or they reduce the size of the stomach. For them to lose weight, because the stomach size shrinks, they can't eat too much. And then the body loses weight, and then you see a lot of skin hanging. And what they do, then they do operation they call a skin removal. And then you find out, in majority of time, a lot of time, at the line of a skin removal, under the meat of the fat, cancer appears. Because the reason for the obesity and the big size was not solved at the beginning. If you explain to people why they do not change or they do not lose weight, psychologically they understand, they lose weight on their own time. We had somebody telling you do the salt and sugar and I don't wait to lose weight because you don't sort out the problem psychologically. You got to understand why we behave. Boy who has a conflict with the father, usually you find him very fat. Or the brother. Because by becoming fat, by becoming big, I can insert my presence. I exist. You see, nothing from me, it's from your side. I'm not shaking it in shape or form. We see girls who have a problem with the presence of mother in respect to the father with very big breasts, abnormal sized breasts, because conformation of their existence in comparison to the mother, to the father, which is the point of attention and love. So these things you have to go back, find out the psychological reason for it. When you do that, you find people change. You have to satisfy the psychological, then with it, the emotional side will change their physicality. It's beautiful when you work in this way because at the beginning I used to make a lot of things too, but now understanding it is much easier to do it totally directly to emotion. And nowadays, a lot of you, which you've learned about the CO2, CO2 is one of the pathways to reach the brain and the emotional side. And then you find out people respond, and how they respond. Let me explain something which, if some of you are doctors or listen or do anything with the health, with the plasma technology, there is a beautiful option. And the option is, it's not the decision of the physician, it's the decision of the person to get an outcome. You can't force, like the present medicine, go and do a surgery. You can do a surgery, come out somewhere else in the future. But you can facilitate a system and you say, oh, it works or it doesn't work. Because now you have to understand, you make facility available for the emotion to be satisfied. And if that emotion is not satisfied, the condition will not change. Will change very little, because you, out of 100% condition which the emotion was causing, you only satisfied 50% of it. The other 50% is not there. So you get this problem. You see the disease still carrying on. So when you go with the plasma technology as a health, you have to consider something very, very simple. 50% is in the hand of the physician. 50% has to be solved by the emotion. And this is what up to now did not exist. Physician do operation, you go in, you take things out, and then you find out there is another problem. We have a case now. The woman wanted to lose weight. She's gone through the operation. Operation has led to a number of other operations, because in fact, the only reason she was so big was because the husband was playing outside. By making her so fat, she wanted to tell him, don't touch me. I'm so ugly. Otherwise, you wouldn't choose another woman in my place, especially if it's my sister. But when you solve the problem, you understand what it is, you see this very clearly in a lot of science, what are called psychological divorces. You find two people are at each other's throat, they divorce, they marry two other people, and they live the most beautiful lives. You say, what happened? Because in that relation, you don't accommodate emotion. It's all to do with physicality of what we have, what we do, whatever. In the new relationship, there's accommodation for emotion, which means the physicality has rest. And we see this quite a lot. So with a new structure in a space, you don't build a system to change the physicality. You build a system hoping that with what you've done, you can satisfy the emotion, which is the other 50% of the process. So this is what you got to realize. You have in a space, emotional diseases will be maybe 90, 100% of the problem. Especially for the first, second generation of man in a space. First generation still has attachment to Earth. Second generation has the memories which the parent get. Third generation has no memory of the Earth. It's something they talked about. The diseases in each generation will be very different. Will be totally, more or less, disease-free on the third generation. First generation will suffer a lot of psychological missingness, where the third generation will not have that problem. This we have seen in the space many times, so you tolerate it till it goes by. But it's the same. You see people coming from different countries, they immigrate. The first generation still goes back every few years to confirm existence of where I came from. Second generation might do because they did once. Third generation is just a name, and the fourth generation doesn't even remember. You see it in America, now they become Americans. So this disease, you have to sort out the emotional part. And it's the beauty of plasma, because this is the way you do it with CO2 or a pain pad, is you release the pressure from the point of pain. But because you create a new energy, you have to support the psychological part, the emotional. So when you have a cancer of something, you put a pad here, but you have to create a pad for here too. You find out it doesn't work because you do half of the equation. But because these two are the same, in communicating, they create a missing link where the body couldn't do for the balance. Whenever you see cancer cases, whenever you see deep psychological cases, always remember with the physical part or with the emotional part, you have to support the emotional with the physical. You cannot just go and put a pad on physical when you have done nothing with emotion. Do you need a pad or a system which supports the emotion? And in this place, you need the emotion plus the physical part. Or by just changing into physical, you allow it to find balance. You solve half of the problem, 50% of the cancer is gone, the other 50% isn't gone. So you add the CO2 pad into it, and you might see another 25% reduction, or you see increase. If you see the increase, it means you haven't sorted out the emotion. It's very simple. And we've seen it in 10 days, huge reduction in the size of lymph cancers and all sorts. In 30 days, 60 days, we see changes, physical changes. But you don't see total reduction because at the moment, people who are trying this only tackle the physical. You have to do the two together, especially in a space. Somebody asked in some of the links, how do you, or can you explain how you do the lymph cancer? Good news, bad news. Which one? Good, confirmed? And Georgia? Okay. This is part of the peace program for next week. So now we know Armenia is confirmed. Most probably Georgia will confirm too. It's building up. The world peace with it will bring a lot of changes in the health application. Because you got to understand, one of the biggest problems with the world at the moment, we see diseases, we see uncomfort with physicality of man, is what the wars have created. Wars create huge amount of diseases, psychological and physical. I always say a bullet shot to a man which has children is not the end of the man with that bullet. It exists for 100 years. The child has no father, changes all the situation, the boy or a girl. In that turn, what they carry, they show their emotion to their children and their children. A bullet which kills a man in a war changes life of people in centuries. An orphan, a child who goes into custody or has to be brought by somebody else because there is no father will get all sorts of changes which is not there if the father was there. And then they come up with diseases. Even if we finish the wars today, man will pay for what is done even the wars of past 3 or 4 months for centuries, because who is going to feed the child, who's going to look after the child, and what conditions does the mother has to go to without the child, or a child without a father, or a father without his children. You have not been in the war zones, you have not been through revolutions we have, and you don't know what it does. It destroys for 30, 40, 50 years, you cannot touch. So those who advocate war, they touch the psychological and physicality of the man very deep. Is the camera behind the curtain? Am I in the camera? So you see, we see things we've seen during the Iranian Revolution, perfect children who had to escape Iran to go, not to go through the wars or whatever. We see now, 20, 30 years later, deep psychological damages, which are transferring the same psychological damages to the children. So we've seen here in Europe, people who escaped from the Iranian Revolution and the wars after with Iraq, not to be involved in a huge psychological depressions. They had to leave, not to go into war. They had to leave because parents were killed or whatever, executed. And these children still in the age of 30, 40, 50 are still running from one country to another. They are going through a huge evolution of instability and psychological, and they transfer the same thing back to the children. So now, can you imagine what's happening in Syria? Every day so many children are killed or so many parents are killed. What's going to be the consequence of this? How can we change the psychological that it doesn't become to their children and their children and their children? We've seen the effect of war on one of the Keshe Foundation core members in past 2 weeks, nearly leading to loss of life by just being in the war zone, which finished years ago, by coming in touch with biochemical nuclear materials. When I explain, there is what is not known commonly in the world of outside military and nuclear industry. We call it biochemical nuclear parasites. They enter the body as a parasite, but due to chemical biological effects in touch with nuclear, they behave such a vast energy delivery, like whatever you want to call it. And then you see the damages to kidney, to liver, to pancreas due to radiation. And the stupid thing with it is we can't find a parasite. We see the end result, which is damaged organs. And then if you are in alcohol environment, it goes very, very rapid. We've seen this bionuclear parasite with all or most of the American soldiers coming from the war zone in Iraq in the past few years. They are soldiers, they're on foot. What they call depleted uranium plutonium has been used on the bullets, or whatever has been used to stop the tank or whatever. They are on foot in the heat of the summer. They walk in the zones where there's a spring. All they do the most natural thing, drinking from the spring. But not knowing in most of these areas, during the X regime, biochemical warfare has been used by Saddam. So now they touch the nuclear, they come in touch with biochemical warfare, which is embedded in the parasites, which are in the water. Normal people don't do anything because they come with different kind of biochemical defected, deformed children. But when you are in touch with the two, the end product is lethal. Bionuclear chemical parasites is one of the reasons most of the American soldiers going back to the States go crazy, and they can't find, they can't find anything. And you find out most of the people in the military of American Army who come out with psychological defects come from the zone where Saddam used biochemical and the American used depleted uranium warheads or bullets. It's a lethal combination. And then they say there is nothing because you can't see. The parasite has evolved in living with a very high energy level. And when you add the energy of a nuclear to it, it actually explodes inside the body of the man. It's like you drinking 30, 40 bottles of vodka in one go. That's all it does. And then we see immediate effect on the pancreas and liver failure. And then they can't find anything. But because it touches pancreas and liver, it carries the information to the emotional part of the body, the brain, hallucination, rubbish talk, and then going crazy and committing suicide. In American soldiers, it's very high, which go back. A large percentage of the American soldiers who go back from Iraq commit suicide or have committed suicide or claim to have illusions. There is no illusion. High amount of dosage of energy through biochemical nuclear parasites has happened to them. Even flies, mosquitoes can carry so much energy because they have evolved. That's why they're still present in the environment. A lot of you do a lot of hiking. If you are hikers, if you've been to the mountains and done that kind of thing, you always, one of the first things they teach you is a very simple thing. If you're in the mountain and you go to a spring to drink, watch if you see any track of life above. Because if the rats or the animals urinate and gets into the water, you get infected. So now imagine an American soldier which is continuously hits and drinks other parasites which are in the water, adapted themselves, and you add nuclear depleted uranium on top of it. Blindness, hallucination, committing suicide, and it's in line with what is known to be known outside the military as a biochemical nuclear parasites, because they are depleted in the water and the land washed into the water system, and then you have a nuclear. If that happens in the water, you see huge defects in the birth rate too. This is exactly what we see in Iraq. We don't see it in Vietnam, we see it with orange agent. In Iraq, we see it wherever the tree has been used in a very high effective way. So, and then what you got to do, you have, even with this kind of thing, is energy level. This is energy, this is change in chemical interaction, this is evolution. So you still can save these lives if you know how to change the tree. But all of it has effect on the emotion. You should not let the person know how this affected the emotion, but in the background, you do your work to change the energy of the emotion and bring balance between emotion and physicality, and we've seen the results. One of our colleagues is back on the road, back into the state tomorrow. These are the problems which we don't consider. And if the American, military wants to solve this, is to stop all the mayhem in their returned soldiers, is this. We don't see that much of this problem with the British forces in Basra and south of Iraq. We hardly see any. There are some psychological returns from this part, which is to do with their own behavior. We see again the same kind of behavior for British soldiers which come from different districts in Afghanistan, where instead of the high nuclear, they use high cocaine, drugs. Because it's again the same way, but it affects the emotion there. So you got to, in a space, understand the basis and where you receive the energy, how the energy is transferred to you, and the first thing you do before you look at the physical damage, you look how the energy has affected the emotion. And then you solve the emotion problem with the virus in the space. And then you find the solution for the physicality will find itself for a change. In space, you never look at energy field on the physical part. If you lose a limb, if you lose an arm, that's the physical. If you get something embedded in your body, it's something physical. But if you see different viruses and diseases, you immediately look what effect would have on the emotion. You don't go for the physical part, you change the emotional by giving it the right energy or giving it a condition to release this energy back if it doesn't need it. And the only way you do is, as you've seen, with the gravitational and magnetical. But in a space, you don't carry this. What you do, you open the horizon of the emotional part of the body and you allow it to give and take what it needs to find balance. You control yourself, the release of emotion and the acceptance of the emotion. The release of the energy or acceptance of the energy. And you find out you literally walk away from any condition because you become more and more aware of it. Most of the emotion comes of the fear of annihilation. And if you can logically think in a space, what this thing will do to me, where will the effect, and what's the percentage of endangering my survival? And then your brain automatically finds a solution for it. These things takes time for man to understand. But this is how you handle in a space when you don't have no surgeon, no doctors, no operating table, and the rest of it. Any other question? Is it me?
I think it might be the position of the antenna from the receiver in the back.
Oh, maybe it's my antenna twisted, he says. My antenna is good. It's still hanging.
It might be in the back as well. Or maybe you want to put that on, maybe clip it to your pocket instead of put it inside the pocket.
Yes, sir.
And then the antenna can hang down.
It gets closer to the heart, huh?
Gets closer to your heart. That's exactly what we want. That's right.
One cloth less.
We need that instant communication with your heart mag-grav fields.
It's my love for you humans. It's just causing most of my problem. No, it doesn't go in the pocket. Nah. No, we leave it as that. It's okay. We put it in upside down.
Yeah,
anyway,
thank you.
It caused me more problem to solve a problem. I put it well low. Nothing's done. Is it better now? I'm dangling everywhere.
Yeah, the walking around is what does it. That should be good having it on your belt there. Thank you, Mr. Cash.
Oh God, one day we'll learn. Why did you put a microphone in my brain?
Can you swallow a microphone for me? Is that possible?
Oh, no problem. If you want, you can put it in the brain. You can read my thoughts, and then it become words.
That might be dangerous.
What? Because there's no brain, you think?
I went on mute. Thank you.
Okay, we'll have a look. Any other question? No different. It's the same kind of situation in different way of wording. We don't really know much what happened to Chernobyl. We only know what they give us and what they feed us. And even years down, 1986, now we are 30 years down the road. 1987. We don't know exactly. Nobody ever got to know. You woke us up about nuclear industry, but we're not much wiser than we've been before. One of the interesting thing is, if we go through these kind of accidents again, which now with the new units being released, there's going to be a lot of nuclear reactors becoming wasted, not operational. What are we going to do with their fallouts? What are we going to do with the condition they create for us in the coming time? We don't know what's going to happen. It's the same as I said with the oil industry. I've made a couple of calls and a couple of contacts today. You find oil producing countries will reject to attend the peace conference, because in reality we're going to hit their pocket too hard. But now there's not much chance change, because we've seen enough to go through. They come to see what can be salvaged. We do not know what's going to happen. Any other question? We advise you not. The reason being, even though you don't see the CO2, there's still some floating inside. If you are in that process, always place a clean water in the gallons and drink it, and make sure you only drink that. You don't carry the cup. The cup is still carrying the gas stuck to it. It's a process you have to follow. Any other question? What? Oh, you become detached. Yeah, you become detached. You don't let go of the emotion. If you go let go of the emotion, you become more physical. So you let go of the physicality that it doesn't touch the emotion. We see this in what they call postnatal depression. When the mothers give birth to a child, the expectation and the pressures of giving birth, and then physically they give birth to something which they have no connection with. It could be second or third child, or whatever the reason they're pregnant. We see what they call this known as a postnatal depression. It means they cannot connect with the mental structure, emotion, with the physicality of the child, which is there, but they have to look after it. They have to make a connection because they're responsible for it. And we see a nosedive in energy, because the lack of energy and the tiredness and everything else which goes with postnatal depression is actually the amount of energy used mentally or emotionally to justify that I'm a mother, I have to do something. If you support the emotional side, like with the CO2 pad or whatever, to increase the emotion, you find out the problem just literally disappears. So whenever you hear about postnatal depression with people, understand what it means. It means most of the time, the mother cannot handle the emotion of giving birth or the expectation of it, and there is a pattern into this postnatal depression. And very easily, you can change it. You can change it very, very quickly. It happens in the first 24 hours of the birth. And if doctors are wise enough, especially the partner understands it, can change the condition. Any other question? Yes. I have to give you a microphone. Or I do what Rick does. You speak and I'll answer the question. Wait. Tap twice. It comes up. Would you like to say something? She's half asleep.
Thank you, sir. This is Ali. Sir, we said for first generation we'll start living in deep space condition. We have a deep stress because we psychological stress because pressure because we always start to missing to the Mother Earth. We have any process to delete this or step down this?
No,
No.
it's just something you have to handle. It is part of the process of evolution of change. You can't. Very unfortunate. You can't. How can you become detached from this point of view? It's impossible because you're still here. The the soul is with you. It doesn't stay here because it's part of you. It's how much we want to detach, and the other problem with detachment from Earth is how much we want to pretend that we miss, that we don't become outcasts. It's a very deep meaning into it if you understand it. We see generations who move from one country to another. They don't want to go back, but they still have to show they have a reality to their original birthplace. Otherwise, they say, you see, we come too far in there. So it's a pretense of emotion. And partially is, I see that a lot in the Iranian, what do you call it, nationals who left Iran over the past 30, 40 years after the revolution. Any other question? Teeth. Why do you want to re-energize the teeth? Is it the root of it, or is it the emotion of it? Would you like a longer teeth? Or you want less of teeth? Or would you like what is known as a Hollywood tooth? You've seen them, all the Hollywood actors all have a white one. The first thing they do to get to Hollywood, am I correct, Harman? They all get it polished and squared. Hollywood is small. Energized. The Snow White. Yeah. The worst thing is when they get angry and they get distressed, they push it and all the crystals falls like the cartoon with Tom and Jerry. Yeah. Armand says if you see them in a what do you call it? At night in a bar with a backlight, you see their teeth glows. It's known as a Hollywood tooth set. But ask, why do people do this? Why do people change their nose? Why do we go through plastic surgery to change our nose, our cheeks, our eyes? God knows whatever you can imagine. Depends which part of the body you exist. If you walk in Tehran, which was a surprise for me when I was there exactly 8 years ago, tomorrow is exactly 7 years since I came back from Iran. One thing you noticed, you thought, first I thought, there's something wrong. You think the Iranian man must be the most violent man you ever seen. Because all the women walk with a surgery patch on their nose. You think all the husbands beat them up. But actually it's fashion. Everybody goes for a nose job. And you see half of Tehran women all with a little patch, they're walking around. in other
Mr.
parts.
Kesh, it's everywhere like that. All the Iranian girls and women do that everywhere you go, from Hollywood, from Beverly Hills to Vienna and to Iran. Everywhere they're doing it.
That's the sound of Kevin. Kevin Lavna. He's been
It's
everywhere.
observation.
He only checks Iranian women noses. Yeah, it's been operated. Pardon? Oh, yes, to hide the big nose. You see, the big nose is when the wind comes, you got something to hang it, and it doesn't blow away. Well, that's okay.
Mr. Kesh, this afternoon I'm going to have a tooth pulled. It broke, and I was thinking of taking a piece of the tooth and nano coating it and sort of putting it in the hole where the tooth was and hoping to reroot a tooth, not the tooth that came out, but sort of stimulate the gum to produce one.
Are you putting yourself in a caustic or the tooth?
The tooth,
Not yourself.
not myself. I was going to.
What's the reason of pulling it? You have a pen, keep it there for a few days, it might solve the problem.
Oh, well, okay.
Oh,
Well, see.
Call the dentist very quickly and cancel the appointment. Says I've got a headache. I'll come back next week.
Okay.
Yeah, and just try. And if it gets infected, don't call me. It's not my fault. But
Well, I thought, if they just tooth out and I put the field there, that the gum might be stimulated to reproduce the tooth that just got pulled out.
Why don't you carry a regrowth unit and just ask the doctor to stick it under your place where you pull the tooth out? The tooth might grow out.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
We do not know why we produce tooth only once at the age of 8 to 10 or 5 to 10. Is it because there is a blueprint that we lost them very early when we were young in the early generations? Or can we produce a unit that the doctors can place in the gum when they pull a tooth out and it will regrow because it creates that conformation of the replacement? We discussed this a few times with a few dentists. I battled with this growth of the tooth for a long time. People think we should be able to regrow a tooth or regrow the bones in the gum where they can put a root treatment. Any other question? Just try it, see if it works. Why is you pulling it out? Is it loose or is it discolored? It needs to be a Hollywood color white.
It had a large filling and the tooth broke away from the filling.
Oh, that's called usage too much.
It's a back molar.
Oh, God. I hope it's not a wisdom tooth.
No.
No, you lost the
They're
wisdom.
already gone.
You lost the wisdom a long time ago.
Yeah. You could tell that right away, right?
Don't say anything to Mr. Westinghouse. Anyway, you can try. I don't know, but you can't fill the cavity in.
No.
No. This is what we call wear and tear. It comes with the age. When you're young, it happens too often.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it.
You know something very strange talking about this? In England, even in the 90s, early 2000, I don't know about you, I left England some 10 years ago, but in England, in 80s, 90s, we used to see young people, age of 12, 13, with no tooth. Doctors used to pull all of them out, whatever was left, because they only used to eat soft food. sugar, concentrated sugar, and so many were lost that the doctors used to pull everything out and with dentures. It was very common. It wasn't something random, but you used to see teenagers, early teenagers with no teeth, everything pulled out with dentures. And one of the questions was, can we allow them to regrow once they get pulled out? Can it be done? Can this is something possibility? Maybe with a new plasma technology and we're satisfying the emotion that we need something to chew with, maybe it'll be the next generation. We can do.
Next generation.
Well,
As we don't need a mouth in the space anymore there. But she still needs to eat. She's still on the Earth.
Can't
Well,
get the space fast.
She's got a husband, Bill, which eats. So.
you had mentioned once before that our teeth are electrodes. And so I'm thinking, if they do want to fill the cavity, do I really want them sticking a rod in my gum and attaching a fake tooth, or would it be better off with the metal outside my gum? I'm sort of leaning to the latter.
What the present research shows, what they call a root treatment, is a cause of a lot of psychological depression in the future life. A lot of loss of energy. Reason is not well known, but in the dental, what do you call it, research, we see they are advising people not to take what is known as the root treatment, which they pin pins into the mouth, and then they, what do you call it, then they put a fake tooth on the top, because the metal releases things into the body of the man which is not in balance and creates high energy, which means will absorb energy to control it, and be exhaustion and all sorts of things. And the doctors tell you, we do a root treatment, and because it makes a lot of money for the doctors. But it's shown, medical records show a lot of problem with that kind of operation. There was a fashionable in 1980s, 90s to put instead of the root, what they call the false teeth. They used to put magnets, and the tooth, the false teeth used to sit on the magnet. And with them, they found a lot of problems again. My sister pioneered this when she was in 1980s in England as a dentist, and then they stopped it. The root treatment is another passage to the same problem at the moment, you see. Then they started the new, what they call crystals, which is supposed to be, and they find they have the same problem on the psychological pattern. Next question. Restore what? I use pain pads for my dog, and he's very happy with it, and he knows when he's got a problem, he goes and sits on it. Yeah, because they see the release. You tried, yeah, you've seen our mascot, the little chap. Yeah, he's got a mat, he's got a magnetic mat, a pad I made for him for a year or 2 years. When he was born, we realized there's a deformation in that breed of animal. And whenever he has his pad, he knows he can sit on it, he gets comfort. And he goes and sits on it whenever he chooses. Yeah, you can use it because don't forget, the only difference between us and the dog, we are 99% the same. The only difference is we went vertical, they went horizontal. So they have the same emotions, the same understanding, and the same thing works on them. Pets will go to space with us. He says, we take the pets with us to space. I said, yes, we'll take them, but don't ask me to tell you anything about the pets. Next question. CuO. You should not do this. Try to avoid use of Cu copper in your pens unless you know what you're doing. It's my advice to you. The reason I'll explain in the future. You got to realize something which goes back to the original teaching. You have emotion through your blood. You have your electric current through your nerve system, and you have your muscles through CO2. So if you don't know what you're doing and unbalance this in a specific position, in a specific way, you create mutation. And if you create, with the blood, is a balanced system. With CuO, in a specific given, is controlled to a specific way. Cu copper is the neural control of the muscle tissue and the behavior of the muscle. It dictates a new condition, which, because of its strength, forces the emotion to change. And then you create complications. I did a number of tests with CO2 before delivering of the technology to Fukushima's Japanese TEPCO. Next question. I don't know if something happens to your dog and I tell you, he told me, now I'm going to sue him. It's your decision. It's not is CO2 or copper oxide. You have to add your knowledge, try to create the GANs of salt. If you can do this, which is quite easy, you will find control a lot of things in connection with CO2. These are the salts which you have to consider. If you can make answers of them, you can do a lot of with the mutation of physicality. One of the things you should never touch in the GANS state is phosphor. You ever come across phosphor as a GANS, remove it, do not touch it, do not play with it, and I tell you, the most will do, play Russian roulette. Because phosphor is and has gravitational magnetic field, especially in the GANs. If you remember, when you had a container with nano-coated copper, with copper you created and you released CuO, CO2. Phosphor has problem. And its problem is it sits in your DNA chain. You can move the backbone of DNA spacing is phosphor. You play with the phosphor GANs, you play with your own life. And the effect is very rapid because you directly change the DNA combination. You remove them in different positions. It's one of the things. Especially you have to be careful when you try to make anything with the GANs of the fish, which carries quite a lot of phosphor. These are the things you have to watch, especially with phosphor. It's the backbone of DNA linkage because it's the phosphor in its position, gravitational magnetic field position, which dictates how amino acids position themselves in the chain. So not so much there is the phosphor which decides, and it creates the twisting of the, what do you call it, the amino acid of the DNA. How it positions it and how it dictates in respect to the others protein chain, it affects quite a lot. So one of the things is a no-no, and it must be a no-no, is do not play with the phosphor GANs. You pay for it heavily. You will understand.
Mr. Cash, can I ask you something? Either I was lucky or I'm going to die soon because months ago I did a mixture of CO2 red phosphor GANs. So am I going to die soon or am I just lucky?
I don't know. Maybe that's why you look better in your new picture on your face.
Yeah, because I was reincarnated maybe. Yes.
Oh yeah, maybe. He looks very good. He looks very smart with his new picture. Pardon? Marcos said it was a good evolution for you, K1. Now you look very brainy and smart. Even though you're a doctor, but you're still good at it. I saw his picture yesterday. I thought, oh, he's put a new. No, he's not. Alex anymore. He decided to change. No, I was. Pardon? Sulfur has the same kind of evolutionary position. You have to understand how sulfur, phosphor, and calcium play a specific game in control of parathyroid and thyroid gland. If you have a shortage of, if you get, for example, shortage of energy in certain conditions in a tissue or muscle or bone structure, if you'll find there is a problem in the sulfur. If you take, the doctors will tell you how the sulfur controls the strength of the nails and everything else, and the balances everything else. You got to understand the plasmatic atomic mass of these phosphor, calcium, and sulfur, why they're there. If you look, can you look at the calcium and phosphor and sulfur? And then look at always, you've seen it, with iron, zinc, and you've seen it with sodium and aluminum and potassium, and you see it with what do you call it, carbon, nitrogen, and oxygen. In all the evolutions, depending, they always come around three together. Because they give you a balance coordination. They all have very certain 20, 22, 24 to 26, 14 to 16. One is a common denominator and it allows transfer to the others. Depends on what you set. This is part of the structure because it allows anyone to transfer back into the other one when there is a shortage. In when you come to iron and zinc, you have the same. Iron, copper, and zinc here, and then you got the calcium, potassium, and sulfur in that region. Of calcium, phosphor, and sulfur. You get the same kind of proposition if you have a calcium or sulfur or phosphor. It's all the trees. They always come in trees because the body can use one to replace the other one when there is no other one. It's the same as when you are short of carbon and amino acid, the oxygen releases it, allows the two helium, and then uses this to trigger the next generation of the amino acid. Sodium does. This is with the plants. This is we see with, what do you call it, human being. And that's why we see this as it goes along. Sodium, magnesium, and potassium, and you get a phosphor and sulfur. These are the whole creation on this planet is, in a sense, this way, and they all connect to one thing, hydrogen. One way or another, they are connected to it, because that's how they release the energy as it's needed or absorb the energy. And most of the hydrogen in these cases is, what do you call it too? Or what do you call deuterium? It's a full, it's one single cell. It's not an electron and a proton. It's an electron, proton, and a neutron usually. Any other question?
Yes, we have a question. Are we our emotions, or are they external to the self, something the self only experiences?
Hello, can you repeat the question?
Okay. Delph asks, are we our emotions, or are they external to the self, something the self only experiences?
I don't know. You let me know. Emotion is part of you which leads to your physicality. It's a very interesting point. Maybe I answer you this in a reverse way, and then you can tell me how you feel about it. Doesn't matter if inception, doesn't matter, dog, cat, human, whatever, is the emotion which leads to the creation of the physicality, or is it the interaction of the physicality which leads to emotion? Do you understand? There's a lot of consultations going on. Do you understand? What do you think? I don't know. What do you think? I put it to you, this is ethical and philosophical question. Does the love of a man and a woman leads to interaction of two to lead to creation of a new emotion life? Or does the interaction of the feeling of the two leads to the physicality? Now you decide. Is this a rape case or is this a love affair case? Do we get physicality out of love affair or do we get emotion out of a rape? He says it depends on the money. That's the way Marco thinks. I don't know. This is this is something you got to answer. If you answer, maybe find an answer to your question. Do a couple who are in love have a child to give creation to new emotion for their emotion? Or does the emotion of the two leads to creation of physicality, irrespective of what physicality will be? It's a blind date chance. A boy, black eye, blue eye, two legs, four arms, doesn't matter. We love each other, we create out of our love, we stand anything it might be. Or do we have a rape case or whatever, a physical interaction leading to creation of emotion of a soul which exists? Or are the two exactly the same? Pardon? It's not the same, because the one you made out of love, we give it so much that you evolve the love of up. The one which comes from the rape or no intention, always lacking something compared to the other. When you generate out of love and wanting to, because of proving the extension and the extension of whatever, you love it in a different way, you give it, nourish it, and whatever. This is there, I have to handle it. Can't do anything with it. You know, in England, even now, it's very common for the girls of 14, 15, 13, 14 to have one or two children from different boys in the school. They attend the school while they're having two or three children. Very common. They are children themselves, and through it, not understanding, they have children. We've seen it in England. You go to a 13, 13-year-old classrooms, the girls already have one, or maybe they are pregnant from two different boys. There is no emotion involved. If something happened and that's there. How do we handle these things? We've seen in cases in England where the girl comes from a family which, having a child at the age of 12, 13, is forbidden. The family moves out to a new district, a new area, nobody knows, and the child becomes the daughter of the family that nobody knows is a grandchild. And the grandparents behave and treat the child as their own child, as actually their grandchild. Seen this many times in England. The girl is still a child, but has a child. And then you find out in an older age, now you have to explain the sister you've been playing with is your mother. You can see the emotional effect. I know a few cases like this in England. When the child at age of 10, 12, 13 realizes what she called the sister is the mother. How do you handle the emotional effect of these things? Good news. A very good bad news. Are you going at 4 o'clock? And? Which one is impossible? Is the first one or the second one? Second one. Okay. Okay. Thanks very much. We'll know later on what it was, but I don't know what he's talking about, but just carry on. Maybe I understand. Any other question?
second to get my live stream. Okay, yes, there's one more question from Snap Chen who says, what's the connection between our dreams and plasma?
Your dreams and plasma. Have you been asleep? I think you've been asleep. If you just woke up, I'll explain to you in a very simple way. Dreams are made of your plasmas, and it's your plasmas which make the dreams. So which one is what? Dreams are energy, a part of the field of a plasma. So which plasma you belong to? The dream which you connect to your physicality, or is it the plasma which is attached itself to it, where it comes from? It's the radiation from the, what I call magneto-gravitational radiation from your own emotion. So it is still a plasma, but till it gets its connection. You see, you're all getting slowly educated to speak about plasma. The GANs and other bits are becoming a bit further distant. So we're going the right way. 2 months ago, you speak about the plasma and emotion. You say, now it's there, you understand. And that's part of the evolution of the teaching.
We have the really big important question now from the evolution of the teaching. Well, we got to answer this one first from Reiner, who says, my female friends want to know if they can become younger with some plasma technologies.
Depends how young is your female friend. 90, 100?
56.
Oh, 56. Depends why you want to be younger. To prove that you can regenerate, or to prove what you did when you was 30 and 40. What's the reason for? You can do.
I think she just wants to be attractive for men again, or more attractive.
Well, you're not doing your job right. Or you are not attractive enough to be there, or she does not find attraction in what she wants. You have to find out why people go look for attraction. Are they looking for emotional confirmation of existence, or are they need it to confirm their existence in physical control? The young, you see, if you're in Italy, you see a lot of it. It's like so natural that you don't even look at it. Grandfathers with their granddaughters carrying a baby, but in fact they're husband and wife. Men in their 70s marrying 30, 25, 30-year-old girls, and the first thing they have is a child. And you see quite a lot of it. There is not a day you go out and you don't see it. Am I correct? Especially up north of Italy, you have money, you have to have a 25-year-old girl with a child. It's fashion now. It's accessories. It's like a ring you put on your finger. I saw one a couple of days ago. The man is so old and the boy is still at the age of 4 or 5, wants to go on a slide ride. It cannot happen. The guy will have a heart attack and die. I mean, shoot. We've seen it. We see so much of it in Italy. So why do the women want to be young? To have or be able to take the challenge of the young generation, or do they think, or they did not have what they think they can have now when they were that age. Being young, to be fit, to be physically active, you can do. We've done it many times in the process of the plasma technology. We've seen men of 80, in their mid-80s, after 20 years being able to walk, be able to write, and this gives them a pleasure to live again without pain. Doesn't matter the span of life. If you're young and you want to be young for a specific condition, you can do, there's a way to do it, but can you use CO2 for it? It's a different thing because you will emotionally feel young, but what about the physical part? As a beautiful, famous British actress said, after age of 40, everything goes South Pole. How far you want to move with North Pole? Do you want to do it? Joan Collins, when she used to be a very attractive actress, as most of you know. When she became 40, 45, says, doesn't matter what I do, everything goes South Pole. So what do I do to get young? We've seen people with the money, famous actresses, whatever they do, as many physical operations. Their face is 40, 30, but the physical body look is about 60, 70. It's what you feel inside in the emotional part which counts. Then you find physicality partially will accommodate it. But in fact, if you've done everything and you enjoyed everything at the time of the age, you never want to go back to the age because you fulfilled the dreams. It's fun. Have you seen the 50, 60-year-old teachers which go out with a young team of children, 18, 17, in camping, and you hear an ambulance coming down the road, brr, 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 brr. The youngsters do the climbing and he wants to say he's fit, but he doesn't remember nighttime he has a heart attack. It feels good, but physically can't carry it. The boy who does at the age of 17, 18, rope climbing and the rest of it, he does it maybe every few times a year. The poor chap hasn't done it for 40 years. The body doesn't carry it. Feel good when you do it, but night the heart doesn't pull. You can. Arman is thinking, says, can you make it 20, 30 years younger physically and emotionally? Yes, you can do. Yes, yes. You see, he's still black hair and he's still young, so he can do. And he lives near Hollywood too, which is worse. I don't know why he wants to do it, but we're going to speak to his wife. But you can do. We've done it, but you have to sustain it. You have to sustain the replacement of the energy that it can satisfy the two. You know the old story? It's a very old say. What it used to take me to do whole night is take me whole night to do. Yeah. When you're young, you don't sleep, but now you pay to go to sleep. When you're young, we sleep 3, 4 hours. The rest of the day is not long enough. Yeah. But the problem is when you get old, the day is too long. Insomnia doesn't let you sleep. You do whole night trying to go to sleep, where the other time you spend whole night not to go to sleep. And what does it do if you don't do? You have to change two things again. If you're going for what they call regeneration, you have to do two things. Make the emotion ready as much as the physicality together. And you do it over a long period of time, over 10, 20 years. Not just taking okay, I'll do something for a few days and it's finished. This is exactly like becoming a vegetarian. You need time. But with regeneration, you need to understand the reason why, that you can satisfy that. But if it's just for physicality, you find out you'll fail at any time. You have friends who want to be young. You have a wife or a girlfriend or a boyfriend who want to be young. You have to understand what's behind it, what's the essence of it. Is it had a good time and I want to repeat it? Means when you went through the cycle, you did not achieve what you wanted to achieve. Go to space and live a million years. Go to space in 50 years. What do you do with extra time? What is to achieve? Yeah, why not? Why not? The you want. He says there is so much to achieve. He wants to live 200 years. No, my God, God help your wife. He didn't say that. But this is the why do we want to live so long? What's the reason we want? Is there emotional satisfaction? You've seen 60-year-old, 70-year-old men go to disco. You don't, so don't blink. Keep your eyes open. It says you blink, your 20 years gone. Don't blink. The thing is, we are so busy at the time of doesn't matter what age that it satisfies both or at least part of one in respect to the others. Look at the structure of the man. You're born, you're looked after, you come to 18, 20, educated or not, you have to feed another bunch, we call them children. Then by the time you realize the children are grown up, 40, 50, you don't have the youth and you don't have the time. So two things. Don't get educated, don't work, don't get married, you have all the time. And then when you get to the age of 40, 50, all the friends have somebody, you have nobody to look after. You still got the emotional drain of, look, I'm alone. Nobody loved me. So you exchange one for the other one to satisfy emotional system. Yeah, marry two wives. You don't know. Is it going to be a problem? You share soul with one and physicality with the other. It still works. That's why it's done in this space. So what do? You go in deep space here. And then you marry four. Each one in one side of the universe as you have time. Was God? Does God have many wives in every universe? Or does it live in one universe? Or is the universe the other part of the creator? Is given it the physicality for him to enjoy his existence of no dimension? Are the collection of the universe is like the cell of the body which makes one body, as the creator, other half? He is the soul, and the universe is his physicality. And if you want to know, the answer is yes, without a doubt. Now, maybe you found the answer to the spare ribs. Maybe the Adam has found his answer. Is the creator non-existence like a soul, as part of it, no dimensional, not non-existence, but no dimensional, and the universe in totality is physicality. The same as what you see with the reactors and the physicality to create a non-dimensional reactor, and you see in its attributes where the physicality is the universe, the female part or the creation part of the creator. And is this in the soul of what we call the creator is what it is, what we talked about, the essence of the center of every cell of the unity, because that presents the creator and the physicality of the plasma shows as its visible part. Or is it that's why the cells or plasmas can divide, because in essence they're complete. They carry the both sides, the essence of the soul of the creator and the physicality of his partner. And the answer is 100% yes. Now, do you want a younger God, or does it matter any age, because you evolve anyway? You cannot, as I said before in the teachings, you cannot work in a space technology, in a plasma technology, without any ethics and understanding of the structure of the creator. Impossibilities. Unless you want to be ignorant because it suits your intelligence. If you're intelligent enough and you understand the work of the universe, you'll understand simply it's impossible to work in any realm of creation, understanding the work of a plasma, and do not work or follow the ethos of the universe and the work of the creator. Because the creator sits amongst every plasma through the same way, in a simple way I explained to you. Just ask yourself, are you, as part of this planet, part of this solar system, part of this galaxy, part of this universe, and part of the universe of totality, the physical part of the creator's emotion and existence, that he becomes the soul of the existence without dimension? And as I said, the answer is yes. That's why we say the God is within us, amongst us, and we are part of it, and it's part of us. You cannot work in the world of plasma without understanding the total ethics of the universe. Not just because you ignore it because it suits you, the reality doesn't change. It's a natural process. You get the fields and you have control, maybe part of the fields because you think you have control. Just because you control your dream doesn't mean that you are in the dream, that your dream in control. It happens a lot. It happens with all of us because we dream while we are dreaming that we are doing something, because that way we can still control to confirm we are in charge of. But it doesn't mean it has anything to do with reality. There are two types of dream. There's a dream which is to do, it's one which is connected to physical world, and there's a dream which is connected to the soul. The dream of the soul is very rare, very hard, seldom understood by man. But part of your life, doesn't matter, even in the daytime you're not asleep, you still have connection, understanding amongst the souls which you operate, because the souls don't have a day and night. They work around the clock because there is no clock. It's a natural process of existence. Any other question?
Mr. Kesh, when you were just talking
You went to dentist.
Not yet, a few more hours. Anyway, I got, when you were saying the souls work around the clock, is it true, or can we sort of say that as an individual soul ourselves, that we have a soul family that's living sort of with us through this life?
If having a soul family gives you comfort, why not?
Can we say sort of we have guardian angels working with us?
I would have gone with a fairy godmother.
Or the fairy godmother?
Oh, is she your fairy godmother?
Yeah, I'm in my same position. Yeah.
If I didn't know both of you, never met you, I wouldn't have said something, but I want to tell you something very simple. Our fairy godmother is our own soul, which protects us according to the time and the place as we need. If you understand that, you'll find your answer.
If we need them, they're there for us.
You created it.
I created it. Right.
You created it and you're created from them, so it can't be much different.
Okay. Okay.
I'm trying to walk in the landing rights I've been given today. Try to stick between the landing rights. You see, I don't go out of picture much today because they put a screen for me. This is my limit. No, I can't go that way. There we are. Now I've been encaged in the landing path. Should be a line where I don't come in the camera as well, at least where I don't go any further. This, the end of the yellow. This is, now I understand why you put that. But if I go in here, I can still go down. I can go amongst the chairs. So. Okay. Now I understand how the prisoners feel. 2 by 4. That's all I can walk. Okay.
For this afternoon, if you like, or for this workshop, Mr. Kesh, if you like. And we have the children's workshop coming up next.
Are we going to get the same, what do you call it, children back again? No problem.
I think so.
You're a child at heart and with a very young soul. Okay, see you. Thank you very much for today. We need times like this to understand the essence, not just to be there to teach and not understand. The time will come very soon that we'll not be here to teach, but you will be able to teach each other in a very
Well, that was a good way to end it, I think.
We were doing so well to the last 30 seconds. Okay.
16th of October. Some of you might not go back to the teachings for the next couple of weeks. 16th of October. Now we reached at least 12 nations, and major powers have confirmed they will attend the meeting in one way or another. Some of them will do and some will not. But in any case or way, we have changed the course of humanity. No organization or foundation or any group of people who their target has been peace through knowledge have achieved such a thing. And in a very short time, we show and we will achieve more than any other people have done, because first of all, we carry the soul of peace. Secondly, we carry the physicality to deliver the peace the way it should be done. So go back onto the network, ask your ambassadors to attend the meetings of the Keshe Foundation on the 16th. We are holding 2 sessions. Prior to the Rome, the Philippine Keshe Foundation will have a ambassadorial meeting, and then the final one or the other one will be here in Rome with the world ambassadors. And as we go and reach closer, we'll announce the numbers of the governments who are accepted to be on the list. Please remember, we see a lot of misunderstanding. No one will be allowed into the meeting of the ambassadorial meeting. It is not for public. Ambassadors are not there to be in public for people to see. We invite ambassadors, and I explained even yesterday to some of our group which are working in the background. We've done it before. We ask everyone to leave, even the cameraman, because when we discuss things at the governmental level and international level, it is discussed totally private behind cameras. They don't come in to be centerpiece, they come in to make a decision, or at least carrying more or information for the nation. So we do not release the position of events. It's only known by ambassadors, and we do not come in and expect to be in the meeting or be present. On the other hand, at the same time, a lot of you want to come to be part of the change. We're trying to organize the 17th on Saturday. We can meet, we'll announce it, we can fix it this Friday, where we meet with those who come to Rome for what we call this movement. But as we've done before, when we meet or the ambassadors meet, they come to bring a change, but it's for you to support in the background. In the front, there is diplomatic negotiation is very, very delicate. And we know people are there to damage, so this way we know, and the security is tight enough to make sure it's only ambassadors who enter the meeting, or people who are there to represent their nation will be given the packages to go back to their countries. Support it, send the emails to your ambassadors to attend, and if you want to come to Rome as part of the peace, what do you call it, conference energy for in exchange for peace, we're trying to place a meeting point on Saturday the 17th somewhere in Rome that you can all reach. And secondly, again, there is a matter of security, how we're going to organize it. Thank you very much for your support. Thank you. Thank you. All right, and we'll see you in 2 minutes.
All right. This ends
Is our
the.
child here or is our child away? Kevin Devana
I'm here, Mr. Cash.
is there. You're going to be there for children's teaching?
Of course.
Of course, okay. See you in a couple of minutes.
Right.
Okay. Let me just end this. This is.
Smile for the camera, Mr. Kesh.
Pardon?
Smile for the camera. Thank you.
Okay, this is the end of the 42nd health teaching workshop, and for Tuesday, October 6th, 2015. And we'll thank you everybody for coming, and we'll end the recording. And I'll stop.
Yes,
the
please,
live stream.
everybody end your recordings, as then it should split.